A few days ago, I watched the movie Wolf's Children, a show that I've been meaning to watch but didn't want to because I've heard nothing but great things from it. And so if I decide to watch it, the magic of the work disappears once the credits roll. And that's exactly what happened. Sure, I could rewatch it again and experience that magic all over again, but it wouldn't carry the same weight as it did the first time I watched it. That's why I decided to make an essay about it instead. Now, I might get into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, then I recommend you go watch it and then come back to this video. Wolf Children, a tale of a single mother raising werewolves. At first it might sound like something from a Twilight fanfic, but this movie proved to be much more than what it seems. At its core, it's a tale about the struggles and hardships of a mother, but surrounding it is an element of literature which is very obvious but quite uncommon. The film begins with a young woman studying in college. We don't really know much about her. Actually, I thought she resembled a side character because of her design. We didn't get as much backstory of her origins or have a narrator introduce the character. Instead, we have a small scene with her and another character in a wild prairie. That's it. But that was enough to tell us, the audience, that this person was important. It adds a sense of mystery, making us wonder what it could mean and who could she be. And then he met a guy and they get together, and then the guy reveals he's a werewolf and then they fuck. Yeah, your typical Twilight plot. But unlike your typical occult-themed fanfiction, the theme cuts off most of the romantic flings and focus more on their children. And we watch as their children grow from babies to toddlers to grade school kids to adolescents. Think of it as a mix of Teen Wolf and Boyhood. Actually, I've never watched Teen Wolf, but it's probably similar to that. While the film did show the audience the stages of childhood with a blend of cute wolves living with their lives with their hardworking mother, there was one theme that made the show more than just a slice of life drama. Without this, the movie's ending would be easy to predict. I'm sure we're all familiar with the stages of plot. First being the introduction of characters, then being introduced to the conflict, then the climax, resolution, yada yada yada. Well, we all know that we're already introduced to the characters in the beginning of the film. But what about the conflict? Yes, you could say that the conflict would be the mother taking care of her wolf children. Okay, I'll shut up now. But if that were the case, and if it did follow the family's lives, then why did the movie end with the kids still being kids? If it truly was a story about growing up, then why did it not continue all the way to their adolescence? Now, you could argue that one of them technically became an adult, but that person wouldn't have realized it without the appearance of the real conflict. If you study literature in elementary school all the way to college, or you've heard it more times than the McDonald's jingle because your teachers keep repeating the same damn thing, then you're probably aware of the three kinds of conflict: man versus man versus nature, and man versus himself. Man versus man refers to the main character fighting against another character. Most shonen anime and superhero films use this kind as it is the simplest form of explaining the difference between good and evil. Good is characterized by this lucky bastard, and evil is represented by this ugly looking piece of crap. Seriously, what the hell is this? Man versus nature, on the other hand, does not have the concept of good and evil laid before us. It is about fighting the inevitable and inescapable. Like Castaway, where the main character is trapped in an island and struggles to survive. Or The Day After Tomorrow, where the whole world is once again brought back to the Ice Age and there's no way of stopping the catastrophe. Even films like The Sister's Keeper would fit into this category since the leukemia patient fought against death but eventually succumbed to it. Anything that's not another person or himself could be considered in this category. Like when I stubbed my toe on the cabinet, or that time when I peed 3 times in my bed Wait, why am I telling you all this? Lastly, there's man versus himself. where the conflict is not against another person or something inevitable, but the person himself. Now, I'm not gonna go deeper into this one because it can get meta as f***, but in simple terms, it's when the main character confronts himself in order to resolve the situation, eventually leading to the climax where he or she, gender equality, would discover a new version of himself or herself. So now that we know all three, let's figure out which conflict in the film was used. Could you tell which one it is? It can't be man versus man because there are no antagonists in the story, no good and evil present. It couldn't be man versus nature because they're not fighting to cure their lycanthropy, aka wolfism if you don't know those terms. Wait, but could it? During the film, the mother keeps reminding her kids what they want to become when they grew up. Human or wolf? Now you could argue that this is a conflict of the characters against their genetics, what they were born with, to live with one and dissolve the other. But if that were the case, why did they have two choices when, as stated before, man versus nature is about going against the inevitable? Aren't the two choices also inevitable? Let's come back to that. Okay, let's go to man versus self. Now, obviously, this is the right answer because both Ame and Yuki struggled to choose between man or wolf. We got our answer! Right? Actually, it's both man versus nature and man versus self. How is it possible, you may ask? Well, in normal circumstances, a plot with both of these conflicts present would lead to one confusing story. But there's a trick in mixing both and still keep the plot intact. It's called the binary reversal. Or was it binary inverse? Wait, is it binary ironic? Wait, you know what? Let's just call it ironic twist. At first glance, ironic twist, or most commonly plot twist, seems like a self-explanatory term. Well, get ready to get your mind blown because there's more to it. Plot twists may refer to an unexpected addition to the story by introducing outcomes which is not the intended outcome. But it may also refer to a scene in literature or film wherein the intended outcome is rejected by introducing the opposite outcome, thus the ironic twist. One example of this is The Fault in Our Stars, wherein we are introduced to a near-death heroine who meets a seemingly healthy love interest. In the beginning, we were shown how the MC is struggling with her disease, giving the illusion that she's gonna die soon, leaving the guy behind. But the story took a 180 and the guy ended up getting sick and, well, dead. Another example is the Filipino film Magnifico, where the young boy prepares his dying grandmother's casket only to lose his life and be buried in said casket. Anime is no exception to this technique. Your Lie in April, for example, introduces a young musician shadowed by a trauma and meets a lively girl glittered by passion. Over time, the roles switch, with the girl overshadowed by death and the boy shining in stage. Wolf Children expresses this idea by conveying opposite roles in the characters themselves. At first, Yuki wanted to become a wolf and Ame wanted to be a human. But as time went on and the two kids grew up, they now find themselves realizing their bond of their opposite identities. The plot took a 180, and so did the characters. So what does this have to do with childhood? Well, everything. As we grow up, a part of us changed little by little, to the point that we don't even recognize who we were before we became us. That one selfish child you once were might have become the giving parent who gives everything for your kids. That kid who hated working is now enjoying his time with coworkers. It's no question that we were all a child once. Some of us might have been arrogant, or silent, or hyperactive when we were little. And as we grow up, we begin to forget just how we became the person we've become right now. And this is but one of the messages the Wolf Children wanted to convey. The choices we made as children bore fruit to the person we are today. We all chose between a wolf and a man once in our life and lived by that decision. But we should never forget that we were once a wolf and a man. We were once wolf children. Well, I totally didn't waste 2 weeks making this video. Sorry for the sudden inactivity. A lot of personal things happened, but now I'm back. Hooray! I actually planned on posting this during Mother's Day, and it was supposed to be about motherly love, but I got so engrossed with the elements of plot that I totally forgot. Regardless, I hope this video helped you learn more about the film and parts of literature and enjoyed it till the end. But what about you guys? What do you think Wolf Children represents? You can place all your thoughts and more on the comments below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and also subscribe down there for more videos like this. As always, this is vanilla, not the flavor, but just as sweet.